we interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Yo, it's Remember the Show. Slick with the flows, where the sparring can go. Who's gonna be on, man, you never will know. Guess it because we live from Chicago. Belal Muhammad, that's the king of the tweets. Jason Anik looks like Jon, up his hands to his feet. Every Thursday we gonna give you a treat. It's Remember the Show, hit play and repeat. And retweet, and retweet, and retweet, and retweet. It's Remember the Show, hit play and repeat.
Yes, we are back. Episode 143. Remember the Show. Jason Anik, Belal Muhammad, Bully B getting his chance on a microphone. First time since UFC 315 in Montreal. Great to see you. I'm not going to let you get on the mic yet, though. I want to start with a quote, Bully, for you. You know about this quote, right? But I just want to start with this for you, for the viewers. From the Instagram account of the musician, his Instagram handle at the Rob Morgan. Right? So he said, this story from Alan Watts changed the way I view the ups and downs of my life as an artist. And by the way, Alan Watts has a British accent, so I probably won't do this justice, but I think you'll remember this, Bully. So I'm just going to read this to you real quick. Quick story. Once upon a time, there was a Chinese farmer who lost a horse. It ran away, and all the neighbors came around that evening and said, that's too bad. And he said, maybe. The next day, the horse came back and brought 7 wild horses with it, and all the neighbors came around and said, why, that's great, isn't it? And he said, maybe. The next day, his son, who was attempting to tame one of these horses and was riding it, was thrown, broke his leg. All the neighbors came around that evening and said, well, that's too bad, isn't it? Farmer said, maybe. The next day, the conscription officers came around looking for people for the army, and they rejected his son because he had a broken leg. And all the neighbors came around that evening and said, isn't that wonderful? And he said, maybe. The whole process of nature is an integrated process of immense complexity, and it is really impossible to tell whether anything that happens in it is good or bad, because you never know what will be the consequences of the misfortune, or you never know what will be the consequences of good fortune. So you know I sent you this. I love all of that. I know it jives with your faith, your philosophy. I love you. Happy to be with you. Can't imagine what the last 2 weeks have been like for you. Love you, man. Happy to be here.
My brother, man, like when you sent me that, it like puts everything into perspective, right? Because obviously I've been here before. This is not the first time I've ever lost. This is not the first time I've had something bad happen to me. And as you know, I'm a man of faith and I'm a man of believing and trusting whatever God has in store for me. And I've said it before the fight in interviews where people I ask and I always say, like, if God wants you to win, you're gonna win. If God wants you to lose, maybe it's meant for you to lose. Like, no matter what, it's God's plan, and God's plan is the best plan. And especially for somebody like me, I don't say words just to with fluff, right? I believe it, and I truly believe it, and I understand that there's reasons for everything, and you never know. Like you said, even with your story, for me, when I first got into the UFC, I thought my first loss was the worst thing that ever happened to me, and then I thought my second loss was the worst thing that ever happened to me. Then I thought my third loss was the worst thing that ever happened to me. But then after every one of those losses, I've gotten better, I've grown, and I've evolved to something different. Especially this fight right here. Do I think that, man, why did this happen? Why was this like? Was I not ready? Should I did this? There's a million things you could always tell yourself, right? But at the end of the day, I'm still blessed. I'm still able to live my dream and achieve my dreams. And there's still plenty of more to achieve. There's still plenty of more out there. And the hunger inside of me right now is at an all-time high. And for me, I still get to get up, work out, train every single day, and just keep getting better. And I'm excited for that.
So there's so much for us to talk about. And when we talked earlier today, you know, for some reason, for me, it feels like it's been a year since May 10th. I know for you, it feels like yesterday. You know, but the way you are, right? I see you on the bike and then I see you hitting the heavy bag. So I'm like, I'm going to text my boy and see if he wants to be on a microphone and do our show, because obviously leading up to your fights, we back off on the show a little bit, but I could begin any number of ways, but you're back training and moving again. I guess you look great. How's your health? How you healing up?
Yeah, man, bro. You lose, I'm a terrible loser. I hate losing so much. I wanted to get back into the gym right away. I wanted to train right away, and you want to just get this taste out of your mouth. And for me, it's like, all right, I love working out. That's something I do every single day, and I was like right back at it. I'm ready to go, work out, train. Obviously, going to see Nacho training for his upcoming fight. Like I can't be one of those guys. I'm not one of those guys that's gonna go hide in a room and be under a cover, right? Because, like I said, it's at the end of the day. I've experienced it before, and I know what it takes to come back from a loss. And I know what it takes how to handle a loss. And my mentality is like different from a lot of these guys. And there's a lot of people out here that can't take a loss, or you know, like I said, don't want to be away from everything when something like that happens. But for me, I need to sweat. I need to work out. I need to go. And I mean, besides the little bumps and bruises, our body's good. We're always healthy, alhamdulillah. We're able to work out again, start training again slowly. And man, I just can't wait for what's next.
So, I got a chance to talk to you, but I didn't get a chance to see you, right? Lip looks great. Face looks great. I was surprised to see you hitting a heavy bag, but if for those of you that don't recall, the staph infection that put a PICC line in you for what, 6 weeks back in the fall of 2024, right? So when you started training after that, what could maybe only do a few push-ups. So for this, I bet there was something about this that you're like, oh wait, I can go move again, where that being robbed from you might have been bad in a different way than this.
Oh, bro, it's like night and day. With that one, it was just so depressing because I couldn't do anything, and honestly, put stuff into perspective, right? Because like at that time, I thought that was so bad, and like what I love was going to be taken away from me, and I'm never going to be able to fight again, and never be able to train again, and never be able to like be in the gym again. And like you said, you're thinking when you're at the top, you're thinking a loss is going to kill you and break you, and uh you're never going to be the same after that. But like I said, when I'm looking at where I was those 6 weeks and not being able to work out, that hurt a lot more. Not being able to do it, not be able to sweat, that hurt a lot more. So right now that I'm able to work out, get my mind off it, get moving, get my body going again, man, it feels good, man. Because I like the energy you get from sweating, the energy you get from just being in a gym, man. It relieves so much of the stresses, the daily stresses of your life, and then you like put stuff into perspective of like what's real in this world, especially in the world we're in now, where there's so much other things going on in the world. There's so much bad stuff going on in the world, and when I first lost my first fight, I was like, I thought everybody was looking at me and judging me and making fun of me. Um, Now obviously I'm getting a lot more praise after a loss, but for me, obviously I don't care about any of that stuff. But like you see things in a different light, especially at this point in my career and this age of my life.
A complete war with Jack Della Maddalena. We could take this a number of different ways. I just want to start by saying, and I said some of this to you in our private conversations, but what a week in Montreal for everyone who considers themselves a member of Team Muhammad. Like, how many deep, first of all, are we rolling in Montreal?
Man, that's the hard part, right? Because like, bro, we probably had over like 100 people there,
Bro.
and you're thinking like, all right, we're gonna be celebrating afterward, and even for myself too, I've had losses where I've gone into my room and I'm like not wanting to talk to anybody. This one was a hard loss because it was like, all right, we accepted it, but we're in the hospital, bro, until like 6 a.m. And it was like the worst thing ever. I was like, bro, what the fudge? Please just stitch me up and let me get the fudge out of here. It was like the worst thing ever. And I was like, I didn't drink any water because we went right after the cage, straight to the ambulance and straight to the hospital. And my lip is just like sitting there like open. And I'm like, bro, can I get some water? Like my mouth is dry. And they're like, I think you're dehydrated. And I'm like, bro, you haven't given me any water. I need some water, please.
Dude, it's just so funny, and maybe it was when I saw you running or on the bike where for me, when I say that it feels like it's been a year, because in a way, because of how you are, it's been able for me to sort of turn the page. Yeah, I'll be lying to you if it wasn't a few hard days. And I'm like a huge sports fan, right? So, and I hope you don't take this disrespectfully, but when like Boston sports teams lose like that in big spots, that sucks for me. Whole different level, bro, with my friend Belal Muhammad. It's like, right, when the Celtics were shitting all over themselves, your fight was coming up. I was like, I don't care about the Celtics. I just care about Bully B. But in terms of that week, right? Like I said, I gave your dad 20 hugs. Your dad is the mayor of the Fighter Hotel. Is he not? Just holding court. But everywhere you looked, it was Muhammad friends. I got super tight with your team, as I sort of always am. But yeah, man, like I'm texting with Mike Cannon that night about, I'm like, how's my boy? And he's like in the hospital. I'm like throwing my phone. It's a tough night, man. But so I guess in terms of the fight, whatever you want to talk about in terms of the fight, whether it's the game plan going in, how it played out relative to your expectations, there's so many ways I could take it. One thing I said to you on the phone is, I'm sitting behind my brother, John. I'm 6 feet away from you in the octagon. Jack is underneath you in round 5. There's 2 minutes, 47 seconds on the clock, right? I can fudging taste it. Take it wherever you want. The fight, 5 great rounds, fight of the night, but I know it's a bad taste in your mouth still.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are going into it with like the game plan and saying, his coaches and blah blah blah. And for me, that's what hurts me the most because obviously I think I have the best team in the world, some of the best coaches in the world, and we go into every fight with a strategy and idea of what we want to do. And obviously for us, what our strategy was to take down Jack. It wasn't to go blow for blow with him, brawl for brawl with him. But man, it's a weird moment when you're training something so much and you're getting better at something, which I think my striking has grown so much, and I always said it. And I when I was saying that in the lead up, I wasn't lying about it. When I was like, bro, I can box with him, I can strike with him. I'm not afraid to box with him. I'm not afraid to strike with him. And I went out there and I just felt good, man. There's like when they say there's a different energy when you're the champion and you gain 20% better. It's for me, I always thought I was the best in the world, and I still think I'm the best in the world. And I was like, bro, I could strike with this guy. Like people are coming at me telling me I can't strike with him, and obviously we lost the fight, but bro, we stood toe to toe with him, and people could say whatever they want to say and do whatever they want to do. I went against the game plan. I went on my own, and at the end of the day, I'm gonna live with that. But it came down to one round, maybe one exchange that could have swayed the judges one way or swayed the judges that way. So, was my game plan wrong? It could have went the other way. Could it have been an easier fight? It could have. But at the end of the day, I love to fight, man. And people, like I said, people were like, "Oh man, you're just a wrestler." I'm like, "Bro, I'm not just a wrestler. I could strike with any of these guys." And I had fights where I struck with guys, and all I did was striking in a fight. So for me, when people say those types of things, it doesn't affect me in any way. But I know I'm good enough to compete with all these guys in all aspects of MMA because I'm a complete martial artist. So when I do these things and I train these things, I want to put these things to the test, and I put it to the test in that fight. And it's just like I said, there's still room for improvement. There's always room for improvement, and I'm gonna use the fight, and I'm gonna improve off it. I'm gonna get better off it. I'm gonna gain it again. I'm gonna get my belt back again. There's nothing that's gonna stop me, and it just puts you in a different mindset, right? Because now I got that hunger again. Now I got that thing again, and it's like I said, going into the fight, you're looking for that thing to chase, looking for that goal to achieve. And for me, my private goal was to show that I could strike with anybody, that I could strike with this guy, that I could compete with these guys anywhere on the feet or on the ground, and we achieved it.
I like that you use the word private goal. And while it was a private goal, when you publicly talked about striking, I know my friend Belal Muhammad well enough to know that I said to a lot of people publicly and privately that Belal saying that out loud, I feel as though there's something in his soul that's gonna do that, right? So if you talk about sort of you doing your thing there, it doesn't surprise me. But when I want to talk about your striking, and anyone who wants to think this is biased, that's fine with me. But I had said sort of the evolution of your striking strong evolution of your striking perhaps maybe got you off your game plan a little bit. I talked to you about certain strikes, bro, where there's certain high leg kicks where you're sort of your flexibility looked different. Your striking looked different. I thought you landed the more powerful shots. I'm not, you come at me about a knee, but I really believe the power is gaining. War Room Academy, Horacio, Mike Valley, like, bro, I see it. I see the whole picture, man. It was an unbelievable fight. I love seeing you 13 days later, just the same dude. You're the same dude.
Yeah, bro. And that's what I'm always going to be, man. I'm never going to I'm not a guy that's ever going to sit there and put blame on anybody or push it anybody away or say that like people are looking for it. People love to see you fail, right? People love to see you lose. And they waited 6 years for me to lose. They waited 6 years for me to, 10 fights, 11 fights later for me to see me fail, see me lose. But they're not going to see me with my head down. They're not going to see me quit. They're not going to see me go in there and break. There's nothing like that in me. There's nothing like that you'll ever see from me. What I'm going to do is take that loss, grow from it, get better from it, and then just continue to be a different animal and keep continuing to do what they think I can do. I'm going to be the guy that gets the belt again. I'm going to be the guy I'm one fight away from winning the belt. I'm one fight away from being there, man. When you're looking at that fight and you're looking how close it was, and then you look at some of these other guys who get rematches or get title shots, I'm not stupid, right? I'm not gonna sit there and think, oh yeah, I'm gonna wait for a rematch. No, it's all right. I want to get back up. I want to be one of these other guys that's a number one contender. I want to show you guys that I am still the best in the world. I want to show them that, all right, who you gonna put in front of me, and watch me what I do.
Good luck to your next opponent, and I'm going to go there in a second, but I just want to touch on one more thing from Fight Week, right? For those who don't know Belal Muhammad as well as I do, I want to just point to 3 things during Fight Week, the essence of the man, okay? Anyone who saw Belal with Ian Gary's son, just go watch that. Just go watch Belal Muhammad. That's Belal Muhammad. Anyone who saw Belal with GSP, and forget the GOAT, welterweights, 2 of the all-time great welterweights, whatever it is. But Belal rubbing him, saying, give me some of that GSP energy. Like, that's the essence of Belal. And then when I show up to Belal's mansion, right, trying to get in Belal's mansion, who do you think comes to the door to greet me in Belal's mansion? Belal Muhammad, right? So that's the essence of Belal Muhammad. Just want to say that there. In terms of your healing and in terms of being back, hitting a heavy bag or whatever, I mean, like, I'm not trying to ask for a timetable, but I know you're super hungry. I know there's some anger and some rage building. I know you're ready to spar yesterday. So what are you thinking in terms of that? What can you say about that opponent? Anything?
Yeah, I mean, for me, obviously, it's just getting back to 100%, getting back healed. I'm able to start doing cardio now. I'm just hitting the heavy bag. Watching Nacho, going to be in Nacho's corner for his fight in Azerbaijan. I got to be there for my boy no matter
against
what.
Rafael Fiziev, yes?
Yeah, and it's for me, it's just making sure that he gets everything that he needs, he gets his W, making sure that he's good, and then all right, now we see what's next. Obviously, when I'm looking at the division, I'm looking at the landscape of the division. When I think of who it could be, obviously jumps out to the table. If Kamaru wins, I feel like it'll be Kamaru. If he beats Buckley, gets past Buckley, you got Ian Gary, you got Brady, and then even if Buckley wins, at the end of the day, I think it's whoever gonna get if they do, which I'm assuming Jack and Islam, whoever's next is gonna have to win one. So I think it all comes down to how they match everybody up and put it in there. But I think whoever's gonna get next is gonna have to win one more regardless. And me, I'm gonna make a statement and I'm gonna put it out there, and I'm gonna get it. So there's not gonna be no guessing.
I believe it. Yeah, well, it's an interesting board. Looks a little bit different. One thing we've talked about, and I've said ad nauseum really, is, you're going to be 37 on July 9th, right? Whatever anyone thinks the MMA prime is, I think maybe, mid to late 30s even. I think, men beat boys sometimes. I understand sometimes the young guys catch the old guys, but you're a unique 37-year-old. Your body is a temple. You don't eat French fries out of camp, right? You order a burger, maybe eat the bun, but no, right? Your discipline, even the way you healed from the staff and the doctors talking about the way your system just healed from that. So I guess when I look at you, I still look at you as in your prime, maybe even getting better. Many, many fighters would be back the other side of the mountain, especially after losing their belt at this age. I don't believe that's the case with you.
Yeah, 100%, man. I felt the best I ever felt. I felt the strongest I ever felt. It was a great camp, great things, and like I said, I feel like I'm still improving every single fight. I'm still getting better every single fight, and I still have that hunger and desire to keep achieving greatness. There's nothing in me that's like, oh, I'm done now, or I'm sad now, or all right, let's just see what YouTubers are out there. Nah, man, I'm still chasing the legacy. I'm still chasing the dream. I'm still chasing GSP. GSP
I
lost the
love it.
belt and he gained it back. So for my mentality, it's we're still here, and I don't care how old they are or how old they think I am. Uh, Go in there and beat me. And there's not a lot of guys that are gonna be able to do that.
So I went back and watched episode 1, or as much as I could stomach, of Remember the Show, episode 1. I talked to you about this. I don't go back and watch it. I'm embarrassed with myself, but you were just fine all the way back. And I oddly feel like I'm looking at the same guy in a lot of ways. It shouldn't be odd at all, but I'm looking at the same guy, right? But that was September 2020, right? It's been 6.5 years since you lost a fight, right? So that's a whole different man 6.5 years ago, right? So you're smiling right now. I was rejuvenated by sort of the rejuvenation, the reemergence of you in my life. So, but I know like 5 days ago could have been brutal and 10 days ago must have been awful. So, like, how is the evolution of you going from feeling really awful in spirit to maybe getting through the last 2 weeks?
Bro, it's hard. It's because I'm telling you, man, I hate to lose. Like, if I lose a freaking in the video game, I'm like throwing a controller. Uh, but like the people I've had with me, man, they've been with me for so long. They see me at my highs, they see me at my lows. Lou knows me to a T, and Lou knows. Lou's been there from the beginning, right? So Lou understands what ticks me, what doesn't tick me. Um, so it took a couple days for me mentally, and obviously being religious, that plays a huge part of my life and my spirituality and just understanding, right? And it just accepting God's plan and just accepting whatever's happened is meant to happen. But you still get those thoughts in your head, right? I've thought about the fifth round, uh, and those 2 minutes and 47 seconds, and that takedown or that combination for days, for hours, and then just slept on it, and just like, man, what about this? What if I did this? What if it's like, if I did this would have been better, right? You could always think of the what ifs or how you could change something up. So for me, it's just having to get past all of that and getting past that, because you can't go back in time, right? You can't go back in time and change anything. The only thing you can look at is the future and then fixing those things. I'm a guy that always likes to fix things even after wins, right? But now this is the first time in 6.5 years that we're fixing something after a loss. And is it a big fix where it's like, oh no, I got to change this, and this? No, it's not. It's little things that we're just sharpening up. Little things that, all right, well, now we adjust this. Now we did this, and it's just like you're chasing in this game. It's like chasing perfection. You're never gonna reach it, right? But you got to keep chasing it, and it's like you got to keep evolving every single time. And you can't give excuses for everything, because then you're never gonna fix anything. You're not gonna get better, and you're gonna think that I was doing the right stuff or I was doing this and that was fine, that was good enough, but it's not good enough. I I see myself ending my career when I'm done, and them saying, man, he was like the complete martial artist, the complete fighter, and we never seen anybody like that. So that's what I'm chasing. And for me to chase that, you have to go ups and downs. And like I said, the downs make the ups that much better. But now I feel the down, and the down hurts. But that pain is just gonna make the next guy feel the more pain.
Your attitude is so inspirational. The look on Lou Taylor's face, I feel like I caught eyes with him sort of after the fight, and I can't even describe the look. It just I know Lou well enough to I've never seen that look, and Lou's got a lot of facial expressions, right? Never seen the look after the fight on his face. Just and it's sort of because it really is an odd feel, a foreign feeling to those that have watched you just wreak havoc in the division. And it seems as though you've been able to sort of break away from the result a little, even 13 days out. And I've been married to the result of this fight as your friend, for the first 10 days. And so it's interesting to sort of get away from the result a little bit, because ultimately I'm just excited to see you fight again.
Yeah, and that's where for me, and like obviously like I want to go tomorrow. Like, yeah, let's get this, bro. Let's go again. Let's Jack,
Kamaru tomorrow. I love it.
Jack, let's go right now. And it's like, all right, let's make those adjustments. Let's get healthy. Let's do this. And then for me, it's like all about God's timing. God's timing is the best timing and understanding it. And then like truly believe in it. But then like you put your at the end of the day, the people that are like smiling and laughing at it and like, happy for the failure, it's good because it's only going to keep fueling me. It's back to the fuel on my shoulder, the back to the chip on my shoulder, and it's only going to make me work that much harder.
Yeah, bring him. There he is, my identical twin brother, repping Bully B up top.
Brother.
You're on mute, John, so you might want to eliminate that before you start waxing poetic. Thanks for joining us. What's up, buddy?
This is my first rodeo. You think I wasn't going to hit that mute button off before we join you fellas? Good to see you, Belal. Remember the name Muhammad. Let me take a good look at this guy. You look pretty good,
brother.
Champ. I mean, you're always champ. That's the thing. Former undisputed UFC welterweight champion, right? So we going comedy? We going journalism? No, I've been watching you guys. It's great to see you, brother. And yeah, I mean, it hits hard, right? Like my twin brother was so mean to me in the 72 hours that expired after UFC 315. I don't know that he's ever treated me.
I was probably meaner to Dominic Cruz, but go ahead.
Oh my gosh. Did you tell Belal about that?
No.
Yeah.
Not privately or publicly.
So, yeah, I mean, maybe we should save this for the Jon Anik app. No,
yeah.
This is like the buried footage of Belal Muhammad and Kamaru Usman. No, there was a very spirited conversation in the hotel room, a lot of emotion after your fight with Jack between me, Jay, and Dominic Cruz. And yeah, I mean, just a lot of emotion. And your friend Jason kind of flew off the handle a little bit. But all love and all support. And it's interesting to listen to what you have to say about the fight. I like everything that came out of your mouth except Kamaru Usman. Like, what do we like? Unless there's beef that needs to be settled, right? If you are to believe what his knees are, right? And he's fighting June 14th against Joaquin Buckley, you're trying to fight him like off a loss. Like, I just, to me, it's like if you're trying to get one, right? Because I believe you're one win away. You just got to fight the right guy. And I'm not sure it's Kamaru.
No, yeah. For me, it wasn't me chasing it, right? It was me like if Kamaru beats Buckley, they're gonna push him ahead, and they're gonna obviously he was a former champion, and then obviously we had the beef. So only if he beats Buckley do I feel the UFC would want that fight.
Right.
For me, it's like, bro, whoever's gonna give me the title shot, that's who I want to fight.
So you probably heard the rumblings about August 16th in Chicago before your fight. Is that accurate?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it's tricky, right? Because there's a lot of coincidence and circumstance in life. And I love the quote that Jason led with off the top of the show. But I understand that sort of adds salt a little bit into sort of an open wound, right? But I do think that not unlike Michael Chiesa in Seattle, what actually is the best way for you to be celebrated is to go there without fighting, to embrace the Chicago Fight Week. I know you don't want to hear that, right? But I do think that there's going to be a lot of celebration of you, and you're going to, unless August 16th is realistic, I don't think it is, but I think that's going to be a fun week for you to not be competing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's like the heartbreaking thing, right? Because you're thinking in your head, I'm like, bro, I'm going to walk through Jack, and then we're going to go straight to Chicago and fight over there. It obviously hurts, but like you said, at the end of the day, Montreal was so close that we had so many people there. We had a great turnout there. A lot of family and friends came through there. And there was a lot of stresses that came with having all those people close by. So I'm like, man, I even want to imagine what Chicago would be like.
And John,
go ahead, Jay.
I just want to say, yeah, we could rub salt in a lot of wounds, and Belal could talk about all of it. Like we talked on the phone, but all the dominoes that fell in the lightweight and the welterweight division just because of this result. There's all sorts of salt, but you know what I mean? There's all sorts of different things, right? Where a lot of things change because of the result of this fight. But ultimately for Belal, it's like if the page does truly turn to the next guy. But it is fascinating, Bully, how the result of this fight sort of really did dictate a lot of what the promotion's doing at those two weight classes.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously hear the rumblings before the fight, and you know that they're waiting for it after the fight. But like you said, for me, at the end of the day, it's only thinking about next and who's next and when it's next. And how I'm going to beat next.
Exactly.
There's a lot of different things that go into it. So I guess I do have a few questions. So understanding that it's God's timing, right? The athlete and the competitor, the ultimate competitor that I know you to be, has to have some sort of timeline in your head. Perhaps not. But like, that's why Usman to me is not a guy like, to me, I thought you looked great in so many capacities. And if I'm to take you at your word that you've never felt stronger, even coming out of the infection, you know, I can't believe you're already on the heavy bag, but like, what is the timeline? And, you know, is December too late?
Oh man, yes, December is late. Yeah, I think I could definitely be before December, 100%. Yeah.
So, but that's what I think is sort of because I just think that there are only so many former champions, and you have this unbelievable status now that's going to get you either a main event. I mean, those three-round co-main event fight, pretty juicy. And now that you're a boxer, you know, now that you're a knockout guy, you know,
I can't imagine you fighting 3 rounds. Go ahead.
No, but I'm just saying, like, you're going to be able to, you're going to be the biggest fight for almost anybody now, which is a lot of that wields a lot of power. So what is the dream month? Can I just ask you that journalistically, and then I'll lay out?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the dream month would be October,
Abu Dhabi?
but not all the way in Abu Dhabi.
Ha! Why? Because
What
your
about- how about
entourage is now
MSG?
getting too big to send 200 people to Abu Dhabi. I mean, have you guys talked about this entourage a little bit? I think you did.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
Yeah, bro.
It's standing room only. You know?
Bro, it's only 2-hour flight from Chicago to Montreal. That was like the epic part about it. But like you said, now the people that I have with me they're going wherever we go. And Abu Dhabi is just so far that you have to go out there early. And it has to be like a week camp, and it's like just like a long process to do a camp out there. So even if it's like, if I don't know how many, I don't even know what the schedule is in October. But if
Yeah.
there's like we say,
I was
No,
talking to the right
looking through
guy.
my
Yeah,
paperwork.
pull it up.
I don't have it with me, incidentally, and no, I don't really have much more information than you do. So,
But for real though, the idea of you training for a 3-round fight. Obviously, I can imagine a fight not lasting 5 rounds, but that just feels, you know, for the cardio king, or a 3-round fight just feels, I'm interesting. I mean, I guess your training would probably remain the same, but
no, I mean, yeah, for me, it's like regardless, I'm still gonna probably train the same way as I did for the 5-round fight. Like
yeah,
training
it's a
really doesn't
stupid
change.
fucking question, is what that is.
yeah, that's what you call it. That's why we have the journalist here, who I think you've used the word journalist.
Well, here's the thing: if you are on Team Muhammad, I'm going to get out of your hair here in a little bit. Remember the show live on the Anik and Florian podcast. So, Team Muhammad members, I would think, become Jack Della Maddalena fans now, because you need him to win, right? So this epic fight could be a Hall of Fame fight for you, by the way, Bully, you know? But this epic fight now will age gracefully if Jack remains the champion, right? So certainly you'd like him to do well. And I also think a Joaquin Buckley win as a guy who might fight you in a main event in October, you know, makes a lot of sense. I love Kamaru Usman. He's decorated, of course, Hall of Fame status in the future, but the thought that he would compete June and October, I think, is very ambitious.
I think that Belal bringing that up is really if Kamaru gets through Buckley, right? I think that's when that becomes a real conversation, right, Bully?
Yeah. It wasn't like, bro, I hope Kamaru win. I don't think Kamaru's gonna win. I think Buckley wins. I was just thinking, what if I see the UFC looking at it and saying, "Oh man, that's gonna be the one that would make sense for the build up," yada yada yada. But for me, yeah, I think if Buckley wins, I think Buckley would do a quick turnaround, and Buckley would want to fight again. And he's the guy that's willing to fight. So yeah, 100%. Him in October would be great.
So before you get out of here, John, I guess for both of you, before we get into our topics, Belal, Yair getting a title shot in Guadalajara versus Volk, UFC 320?
It makes a lot of sense, right? And I think Yair, after that huge win, and the way he beat Pitbull, and like I said, man, people could say whatever they want about that first fight. That headbutt played a factor, and the headbutt was a hard headbutt. And I think Yair now is just a different animal and a different person. And man, I hope he gets it.
John?
there are a lot of inconvenient truths of the fight game, and not that I'm peeling back the curtain, right? But a lot of matchmaking and forecasting is such that the thought process is, what does that division look like if Yair Rodriguez is the champion versus Movsar Evloev, right? You already have Alexander Volkanovski as the champion. You know what his relative drawing power is and how he moves needles, and he's in a nation that cares about MMA greatly, obviously, right? But Movsar Evloev is 9-0 in the UFC. I shit you not. I went to UFCstore.com today and bought a Movsar Evloev t-shirt because I didn't know what else to do, right? Oftentimes I support fighters by purchasing their merchandise. And I love Yair, right? I do think he's live in the rematch with Volkanovski. To your point, like, you know, I have an affinity for him. I finally got that Instagram follow after years, which made me very happy. But yes, the politics of the game are such that it's not so much that Movsar's 9-0 with all decisions and Yair is, you know, the most dynamic guy in the division, but when they forecast what a guy's potential might be as a champion, you know, a knockout artist from Mexico that's bilingual and looks like Yair and checks every single goddamn box, you know, here's your rematch, son. Let's see what you can do with it.
Makes a lot of sense. Thanks for coming on. Any final words for Bully, John, before you get out of
Yeah,
here?
I mean, I just want to say, you know, there's a lot of sort of emotion in this fight game, and you can't help but develop interpersonal relationships. So I think you know how much love and care there is for you in this room. And, you know, the other side of this fight for me, whether I call it down the line or not, is just that my call is not objective, you know, and thankfully when I watch it back, I think in all respects, it was a pro Jack Della Maddalena call when the moment's called for it. But just so much appreciation for the way you carried that fight week, the way you handled that pay-per-view in Montreal as the undisputed champion, the man around whom the fight card was built. And, you know, I know Dana believes in you. I know much is made in the public, but I can tell that you and Dana have a definite kinship between you. And I'm just excited about the future, man. I really am. I think you're a young 36 or whatever you are. And, you know, keep lining up the pins and keep knocking them down, man. I can't wait for the next one.
I think you're a young 46, John.
Me?
Yeah. What do you think?
I don't know. You want to open me up?
All right, buddy.
My brother.
Peace out.
Love you, bro.
Love you, Belal.
Cody, you can put up the topics whenever you want. So Belal, you don't have to answer this right now, but Dana pulled you over and said something to you at the weigh-ins, right? And I meant to ask you this privately, but it looked like yeah, I think he's got a lot of love for you. So you don't have to disclose what he said, but he pulled you aside and spent a minute in your ear at that moment, you know?
No, like I got nothing real respect for Dana. Obviously, after the fight was the biggest one, right? Because like even after beating Leon, all I heard in my head was it wasn't a barn burner. So after this fight, he gave me a lot of respect and a lot of love and said it was an amazing fight. So obviously, he was coming in a loss, but like it felt good just to get his respect, right? Because when you win dominantly for so long, and then people just like you get more love after a loss, but it was just like obviously the style of fight. But it still just feels good that the boss looked at it, he respected it, he's checking on you, making sure you're good. So I shout out to him and Hunter for making sure everything. But yeah, at the end of the day, praise doesn't mean nothing in a loss. But still felt a little good.
Well, you got the right perspective, and we've talked about, I can't tell you how many people talk about your stock having gone up and, all the sort of flowers you can get from a loss, but we know we're tied to the result. And what I will say for those of you joining us on Remember the Show for the first time, second time, or whatever it is, we are going to keep rolling on our show and do what we normally do and get to the MMA topics, because nobody breaks down fights like Belal Muhammad. And even when you're referencing that headbutt, it's like you remember every round you've ever seen, right? So hopefully next week we'll get Bully's Bicks on the way out. I'll talk about a few fights next week for the 31st that are really interesting. I'm not going to make you pick them because we'll make you do that next week. And maybe we'll get a game show next week, right? That's the lifeblood of this program. All right. Topic 1, your guy, Michael Morales. He's come to Chicago to train with you, unless I'm mistaken. I love Gilbert Burns, and you love him more and more as time goes on, right? He looked to be like in great shape to me last Saturday night, but not enough to make it through round 1 against this killer. 18-0 as a pro, 6-0 in the big show. Talk to me about Michael Morales.
Bro, I've been saying it for so long. Like, this kid is good. I think a lot of people just didn't know who he was, but I think they know now, especially getting a win like that over somebody like Gilbert Burns. and to win, especially like that, and the way Gilbert Burns looked, he looked good. But yeah, bro, this kid's a problem, and he's so big, and he's so dynamic with the way he strikes, the way he moves. I think I think a lot of people now have their eyes open and they're paying attention to him. But he's so, bro, what is he, 25, 24?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I think he's gonna be
Yeah.
26. I mean, bro,
Yeah,
that's
being able to work with the kid, I'm like, bro, this kid is like, he's such a good kid too, man. He's a good family man. He loves his mom. She's I think it was a judo Olympian. So it's cool to see that she's always with him and watching him and paying attention to him. But yeah, man, I'm excited to see what they give him next.
I love it. Dude, I love Bully B on the move. The camera's gotten closer. Face still looks great. Can't even tell you got a cut lip. Looks like you've even trimmed the mustache. Unbelievable. By the way, I had a thicker beard going for Montreal. We trimmed that up. So I will say, bro, and when I talked about like the dominoes fault, right? It is like anyone who wants to talk to me about some of these other fights, I haven't had as much of an appetite for the last few days, but I'm starting to get more of an appetite. So UFC 316, Newark, New Jersey, your favorite place. DeWallish, Willie, O'Malley 2, Juliana versus Kayla. So, dude, I could begin anywhere, right? So O'Malley lost to Merab at the Sphere. That was back in September. Merab defended his belt in January. Merab is just like you, man. Fight if he's ready. But so, bro, the line on Kayla, Juliana. Kayla Harrison minus 650. Juliana plus 475. I mean, that's a big line. Like, Juliana's done it before. She's shocked the world before as a huge dog. I mean, what are your thoughts? I know you know both of them well, but let's start with the ladies.
Yeah, it's wild, right? It's the disrespect, and to like disrespect somebody like Juliana who has a win over the GOAT and women's fighting, right? She beat Amanda Nunes. And just like her style, she's so gritty, she's so tough to fight. And I think for Kayla, her last fight, we've seen it, right? We've seen her 2 fights ago lose. And I think it was that type of style, like a Juliana, who brings the action to you. And she could grapple,
Yeah.
she could strike, she can make it dirty. I think it's gonna be a tough night for Kayla. I think that these odds makers are they're disrespecting Juliana a little bit too much. But they're believing the hype of Kayla, right? She knows how to sell herself, she knows how to push herself. But yeah, man, I'm excited for it because I'm seeing Juliana in the room every day. I'm seeing how hard she's working. And I think she's gonna go out there and she's gonna produce.
So we know Kayla Harrison pretty well. Belal and her had a bet, I think, on right. She was on Nunes and you were on Juliana, right? And so she had to sing karaoke on our show. And I just love everything about Kayla Harrison, and I love Juliana, right? We talked about making the trip to Manchester with her daughters to support Bully B, repping his merch in the first row. So love to both of them. You know, Merab, Sean O'Malley. This line is kind of interesting to me. Merab minus 210, O'Malley plus 250. I think Sean's definitely going to do the work. Merab, super active. Any initial thoughts on that one? Only a few weeks away.
Yeah, I mean, I think Sean's posting a lot of stuff, training with like Izzy, getting some work in with Demetrius Johnson. I think, he's going out searching and like trying to find that evolve, right? Because, I think he went away from social media. I think he said he like stopped smoking. He stopped doing all these other extra stuff. And, he had moments in that fight. I think a lot of people will go back and if they rewatch it, he had some decent moments in that fight. He had even in that 5th round where he hit him to the body and it hurt him a little bit. I think he's very smart with the way he like trains, and people don't give him the credit for it because
I agree.
all the extra stuff. But I think he's very intelligent. I think he's going to come out there and know. I still think that Merab has to be perfect for 5 rounds, and Sean still has that one punch power, still has that that shut off switch. So I think that he's going to find different moments. And I don't know if he said he had an injury in that first fight, but Merab is just a tough guy to fight. Like, that style is just so hard to deal with, so hard to fight. And having a war like that with Umar, his last fight, I think that leveled him up. That changed a lot of things. And I'm sure he's more confident than he's ever been in his life right now.
So interesting thinking about. I think that line may move a little bit. I wouldn't shock me if people gobble up Sean O'Malley at 2.5-1 as an underdog. I still think there's some value there. UFC 317 International Fight Week. This fight card, it's like everyone's like, oh, they haven't announced 317 yet. Well, all of a sudden now it's like really good and they've announced it. So Ilya Topuria, Charles Oliveira. You get Dariush for Sonato Moicano. That was supposed to happen when Moicano filled in for Sarukyan back at UFC 311 in January. Co-main event, flyweight title, Pantoja, Kai Kara-France, Manel Kopp, Royval. Like, that's a good fight card. Topuria, Charles, we'll get to that. But I want to just ask you about Dariush Moicano, because we know Beneil Dariush, he came out and said, like, had I been given that opportunity instead of Hanato, maybe would have done something with it. Beneil Dariush had a very long streak. He's a very interesting fighter. I don't know. Your thoughts on Dariush Moicano after sort of round 2, if you will?
Man, honestly, I think that the time off is going to help him a lot. I think that even that fight going out, that extra time probably helped him a lot. Like, we've seen it. We just saw it recently with Volkanovski, right? Coming off of 2 hard losses, and you look at like who he lost to, and then all of a sudden he wins in a war, and you're like, man, his chin is still there. He's still good. Like Dariush, when you're looking at the guys he's lost to after that huge long streak, it's not like they weren't killers. They're still the best in the world.
Yep.
And I think people forget that. I think for Moicano now, it's all right. Let's see how hungry he still is, because when you get your title shot like that and you get that big check, then it's like, all right, am I in silk sheets right now, or am I still having that hunger to try to get back to that spot again? Am I still, Islam's gone now, so now like the door's open for me to get another title shot, get another thing. So it's like, I think it comes down to mindset, and I think Dariush seems like he's hungry again, and he knows that his name's big enough, and I feel like if he gets a couple wins, that's a title shot that he's never had before. And he was one of those guys that, when you had that 8 fight winning streak and you never got the shot, it's like heartbreaking. So I think that I'm excited to see which Dariush shows up.
And it's interesting to talk about Moicano. He just opened his own gym down here. He's obviously at ATT, but he just opened his own gym in South Florida. He's got another boy on the way, second son. So yeah, I mean, life can come at you fast, right? But I do think anyone who's had the success Moicano has had, regardless of what happens outside of training, he is committed to training, and I think he'll be ready to go International Fight Week. Patchy Mix in the UFC. It's about time. I'm excited about this. You've known Patchy for a while. Engaged to Tatiana Suarez, who you've known forever. I'm excited for this. So he's stepping in for Chito Vera to face Mario Batista. I believe that's June 7th in Newark, unless I'm mistaken. Mario Batista 7 in a row. Patchy Mix is a whole different animal, though. But what a fight there, bro.
Yeah, I'm so excited that he got signed. I was like, bro, this 135-pound division was already great. It just added another huge piece to the puzzle. Bro, but like, I mean, Batista's a hard test to be your first fight and on short notice. But Patchy seems like one of those guys, right? He's been out I don't think he's had a fight for over a year. And, I think he's done a couple of grappling matches. But he's always training. He's always in the gym. I know he was in camp with Tatiana her last fight. He's been cornering a lot of guys. I'm always seeing him train with everybody. I've trained with him, and I'm like, bro, this kid is not a 135-pounder. He's strong. He's good. I think that if he goes to the ground, it's going to be Patchy. But he has to get it there, right? And on the feet. And I think that Bautista is very slick on the feet. He's very smart with the way he fights. Obviously, he's coming off of that tough fight to Aldo where people hated on him and booed him. And it's like, Aldo's still good, man. Aldo's still just tough guy to fight, but it's a whole different type of fighter now. Now you're fighting a guy that if you want to grapple with him, he's going to be wanting that grappling. So I want to see which Patchy shows up, which Bautista shows up. But, man, if Patchy can get through Bautista, that's a title shot, I feel like.
Well, and it's interesting. And obviously, Corey Sandhagen may have something to say about that. And Patchy knows Merab pretty well. I think right? So it's fascinating. But, anytime one of the best fighters in the world is not in the UFC, it's always a pleasure when they come aboard. So Johnny Bones Jones, dare we talk about this guy? But I just want to say first, he'll be June 14th. He'll be with me in Miami at Dirty Boxing, right? You could be sure. So I know Dana would much prefer him be training for a fight against Tom Aspinall. But I guess we could talk about Jon Jones, right? I feel like he's saying a lot without saying much, not in a rush to do anything. But the real robbery is not getting to see Tom Aspinall sort of compete and shelving a guy like that who wants to be active. So your thoughts on everything surrounding the heavyweight division in the UFC?
I mean, it sucks, right? Because you want to obviously see that fight. That's the fight that you want to see. Like I can't even imagine how that fight goes. What is that one?
I don't know. Aspinall almost a year inactive. Meanwhile, Jon Jones, jumping off balcony.
Oh, well, yeah. I'm looking at this like, bro, like I mean, that's the fight that you want to see. But like, I understand both sides, and I think Jon Jones is playing that game, man. It's like, how much are you gonna pay me? How much are you gonna pay me to do that? Because like, at the end of the day, nobody cares if you lose the fight, right? They don't care about what you've done or how long you've been undefeated or how long you've been the GOAT. Like, if he loses to Tom Aspinall, then everybody's gonna come at him like, see, that's why you waited so long. You were afraid of him. You knew this was going to happen. And Tom Aspinall is obviously such a great fighter. But I don't know. I think Jon Jones is going to end up doing it. I think he's playing the game. He knows what he's doing. And anything he tweets or says, it's going to get people talking or either talking one way or talking the other way. And I think he just loves the attention.
I really hope he does it. I hate to ask this question because it's not really my style. And I'm not even necessarily saying do you hear that in your ear?
Yeah.
Or was that just me? Anyway, not my style, big laugh in my ear, whatever that was. But no, I'm not suggesting that I'm picking the fight here, but like for Jon Jones' legacy, it's not my style to ask a question like this. I mean, Aspinall is as dangerous an opponent, especially on the back nine of your career for Jon Jones. I mean, so there have to be thoughts creeping in, like, no matter how good I am, I'm not a true heavyweight, right? And this is a true heavyweight, right? Do you think there are thoughts about the legacy, or it's all about the bag?
I mean, I think when you're that good and you dominated everybody you fought, I think he just has a different mentality. I don't think he ever looks at anybody like. I think he looks at every single person in the world and thinking, I'm going to kill. Like, I could beat them. I could dominate them. I don't think he looks differently at Aspinall. I think that, like I said, I think he knows what his worth is. And I think he's just waiting for that check to come in and knowing like, all right, that's good enough for me. I'll accept that one right now.
I love it. All right. I want to ask you about next week's card quickly. Anything you want to say before we get out of here? I'm going to talk about Bully's Bix next week. Anything else?
Yeah, man, my boy Ramiz fighting next week. I'm excited for him to come back against Oban Elliott.
See, I thought you were going to talk about yourself. You're always talking about your friends. Yeah, so that's interesting, bro, right? And I got to Oban Elliott I met in Manchester. He was on the same card as you, right? And was a cool motherfucker. But so, bro, the line on that fight, just to tell you, Ramiz is plus 490, Oban Elliott minus 675.
Really?
Isn't that interesting? I'm not saying it with any opinion. It's interesting. But that fight, I was going to ask you about it. It's really interesting. So according to the guys in Vegas, it'd be an enormous upset if Ramiz gets through Mr. Elliott.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, obviously for me, bro, I follow Oban Elliott. Like, I like the way he fights. I like his personality. Yep. I even like we message back and forth.
Sure.
Beforehand, he just seems like a just cool dude, chill dude. So it's like, it sucks. You're like, oh man, now they got to fight. He got to fight my boy Ramiz.
I know.
But yeah, man, that line is crazy because I think that they're both good. They're both very good at what they do. And I've seen Ramiz. Ramiz is working hard. He looks good. He feels good. And coming off that big knockout over Mickey Gall, yeah, I don't know.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
So next week, it's just interesting. It's great to be able to talk to you about the fight game. I've missed doing this. So next week, right? I assume we'll do Bully's Bix on the show. So I'm not going to ask you to pick it. I'm just going to. So co-main event, lightweight division, the unranked Ludovic Klein. You know that name well. Plus 150 versus Mateusz Gamrot, minus 180. But Mateusz Gamrot's number 7. And it's really interesting how the lightweight division, Klein has a win over Bahamondes, right? Obviously, Nacho is on a crazy track. But it's really interesting, right? I don't think if Klein gets through him, he's the 7th ranked lightweight in the world, but a massive opportunity. It's funky how, right? Nacho has become a star. And a guy like Klein, right, still has a ways to go, but obviously going to be ranked if he can get through Gamrot. Any initial thoughts? That's a fun fight.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is one of the fights, kind of like the Michael Morales fight, where people really know who you are after this. When he beat Nacho, Nacho's name wasn't as big. Now where Nacho is, like, Nacho made the stamp now. Nacho did sphere knockout, beating a guy like Jalen Turner. Finishing him. Those are like huge stamps. And now he got this huge fight against Fiziev. And I think he beats Fiziev. He's going to be ahead of all these guys. There's like nothing that Ludovic Klein could do that's going to like let him reach Nacho again. But that's just like the way the fight game goes, I think. But if Ludovic goes out there and he beats a guy like Gamrot, it puts his name in the mix, right? He puts him in where people will start talking about him because nobody's really talking about him now, except for real fighters because they know how good he is. They know the silent streak he's been on. But Gamrot's just a hard test.
Yep.
His stylistically he's weird, and he's coming off of a loss, so he's going to be a lot hungrier.
Well, I'm Team Bob Mondes all day, but I've been talking about Ludovic Klein for a long time. That bandwagon, I'm riding shotgun on the Ludovic Klein bandwagon. No. So the main event, Aaron Blanchfield, and we'll make you pick it next week, right? There's Big Ron. Oh, yeah, it's my dog, Ludovic Klein. But no, he's not. But then he fights Nacho, not the So Blanchfield, Macy Barber, right? Macy Barber, a 2-1 underdog plus 200. Aaron Blanchfield minus 245. I know Blanchfield is super dangerous on the ground, but Macy, I love Macy Barber, both the human and the fighter. And I look at her at 2-1 just to plant a seed. Like, that fight should be crazy. I think Macy has a great chance to beat Aaron Blanchfield.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's wild. Especially the way Macy's been fighting recently, right? She's been on an upward trajectory, and even like Blanchfield, where they thought she was untouchable and she's dominating everybody. Like, we've seen her like kind of like lose that aura a little bit her last couple fights. So yeah, I think, man, Macy go out there and get herself a title shot with a win here.
I love it. All right, so next week we're going to be back. Remember the show. Maybe we'll go live Thursday night in our normal slot, whatever works for Bully B as usual. But it's great to see you, man. Your energy is infectious. I have so much admiration for you, bro. We got you right next to me. You can be sure. So, dude, we'll make Bully's Bix next week in game show, right? We got to get some heat on the game show. Oh, I'm so glad. Speaking of game, dude, Jared Flash Gordon, right? I asked you this earlier today. You're home and you get to watch a knockout from one of your best friends in the world. Talk to me about Flash for a second, please.
Bro, that hyped me up so much, man. To see him go out there and get a win like that was, against, bro, Moises has been in the UFC for so long and he's only like 28 years old. It's crazy. I thought this guy was
Is he really?
Yeah, he's like at least minimum 30 or maximum 30, but he's been in the UFC for so long. He's fought everybody. And then for Jared to go out there and get a knockout like that in the first round was huge, especially like with the way his luck has been recently, that fight getting canceled, and then, just sitting there waiting, and then he gets his call short notice. And then I'm like, bro, that's a tough short notice call up, but he's like, bro, he was staying ready. He was ready to go. And then to get a knockout, it was huge, man. I'm so happy for him, man. It felt so good. I just hope that now he'll get like a ranked guy now. Like, I think that he's earned it. He deserves it. I'm wondering to see what they give him next.
Dude, it really was interesting. And I'm glad, I was like, for sure, I'll bring up Flash. I didn't even have it in my notes because I was so sure I'd bring it up. And I almost forgot to shout out Flash. But it is interesting. And, you've talked to me about what it's like cornering guys versus fighting on your own and how much more nervous you get cornering a guy. But you talk about your friends, the people around you, support the people around you. When I talk to you today on the phone, it's like your focus is Nacho's fight on June 21st. If anyone wants to know, that's where Belal's focus lies right now. That's everything you need to know about him. So I love you, bro. Glad to be back. Episode 143, remember the show in the books. Cody, Merab, we appreciate you. We'll be back next week live again. For Belal Muhammad, my name is Jason Anik. We appreciate you. We love you. Have a good night.